My wife, Anna, had been working on a special project for the past 4 months. It wasn't a personal endeavor, but she was the project lead and held the responsibility for its success. This project was crucial for both her and her company, Covington Group, as there was a real chance the company would collapse if it wasn't completed successfully. Anna had a bachelor's degree from Albright and an MBA from Wharton. She was definitely the smartest person in our family. I, on the other hand, started working as an auto mechanic right after high school, and after 21 years, I was still in the same trade. I didn't mind, though. I enjoyed the work, and it paid well enough to support Anna through college and raise our 2 kids. We weren't living luxuriously, but we were getting by. Anna got pregnant just 3 months after we married, at 18. The first few years of our marriage were tough as we lived with my parents in their big house. With 4 of my siblings already gone, they had the space, and it also meant we had built-in childcare while Anna pursued her college degree. It took her 6 years to complete her 4-year degree, thanks to 2 pregnancies along the way, but she managed to get through it. Meanwhile, I worked steadily and picked up overtime whenever necessary. After Anna graduated from Wharton, we rented our own place. She had offers from several large firms, but they all required us to relocate. I was okay with moving, but Anna wanted to stay close to home. That's why she chose to work at Covington Group. It paid well, but more importantly, it gave her responsibility and the chance to move up in the company. Anna was a dedicated, hardworking employee. The big presentation was set for Thursday at the recent hotel in Philadelphia. I took a few days off from my job to help her however I could. In the end, all I really did was prepare some meals for her when she came home. I didn't understand much about her job, and honestly, I didn't feel the need to know. High-level corporate business had never really interested me. Businessmen from Europe, Asia, and South America frequently visited, and the company covered their airfare and provided rooms at the expensive recent hotel. From what Anna had mentioned, the company seemed to be overestimating its finances, which made the extravagant spending even more concerning. Her presentation was crucial, not only for her and the company but also for the more than 200 employees who depended on its success. Until Tuesday evening, everything seemed to be going smoothly. Anna came home in a new gray suit with a white blouse. She laid out everything she needed on the bed in the guest room. When it came to housekeeping, she was pretty laid back, but when it came to work, she was incredibly meticulous. I didn't understand why she needed to lay out her fancy underwear, but I kept quiet. In addition to her suit for the presentation, she also had a few cocktail dresses for the social events surrounding the conference. I had always avoided such events, but I felt obligated to attend with her if she wanted me there. She thanked me for the offer, but said it wasn't necessary. Before leaving work, Anna made sure everything she needed, materials and equipment, was neatly packed in the trunk of her Volvo. She drove the car herself to ensure everything was in perfect condition. She had all of Wednesday to prepare and socialize with her guests in the evening. Anna was so skilled at what she did that I felt like it might be better if I just stayed out of her way. By Wednesday night, Anna had double-checked everything and was ready to unwind. All she needed now was a hot shower and a good night's sleep. That's when I made my mistake. While she was showering, I started going through her things on the bed, thinking I might help out. But instead, I ended up causing trouble. As I shifted things around, a small white envelope fell out of her makeup bag. It was from a drugstore, but not the usual one we used. Inside were 10 pills, and the instructions were unclear. Take 1 pill, and if necessary, a second pill 12 hours later. I had no idea what the medication was, and I thought it might be something to help with anxiety or nerves, but the instructions didn't make sense. The prescription was in her name. I put the envelope back where I found it as Anna finished her shower. I decided I wanted to know more about the medication before confronting her. Of course, mentioning it would mean admitting I had gone through her things, and I hated dilemmas like that. After Anna had gotten ready for bed, I went to the computer and typed in PR. 10 minutes later, I joined her under the covers, but I lay awake all night, wondering why she had picked up a prescription for the morning after pill, especially after I had a vasectomy 10 years ago. The next morning, I woke up early, but I wasn't rested. I took a long walk, hoping it would help clear my head. Reluctantly, I headed home, dreading what might happen when I got there. Our son, Josh, had joined the Navy after high school and was in his freshman year in San Diego. Our daughter, Elaine, married her childhood sweetheart last year and had just moved to Dallas. That left just Anna and me. I missed the kids, but I looked forward to growing old with Anna. She was the only woman I'd ever been interested in, and now it seemed everything was falling apart. If Anna was having an affair, she was hiding it well. Of course, I never checked up on her, never looked at her emails or cell phone calls. I had no reason to. I trusted her completely. I had no idea what she was doing at work or after work, but I trusted her. When I got home, Anna was in the kitchen. Where the hell have you been? Want some eggs or something? No, just coffee. Not feeling very talkative. What's wrong, honey? She asked. It's only for 3 days. You can come if you want, but you'll be bored to death. I really don't want to go, but I hate leaving you alone. I worry when you're not here. That's sweet, darling, but it'll be fine. I'm not leaving the hotel most of the time. I'll spend most of today making sure the conference room is ready, and tonight I'll be meeting with potential clients. Tomorrow, I probably won't even have time to pee. I'll be home as early as possible on Friday. I promise you a great weekend if you know what I mean. That all sounds good, but you can't blame me for worrying. I'm just an auto mechanic, and I have this beautiful, successful wife. Sometimes it feels like you're more focused on advancing your career than your family. Stop it, she snapped. I've always respected what you do for a living. You raised 2 great kids and put me through college. You're a great husband, a great father, and a good provider. Don't ever forget that. I finished my coffee as she cleared the table. Do you want me to call you? No, that's not a good idea. I'll have my cell phone off, and we'll turn off the room phone for the night so I can get some sleep. I'll call you every chance I get. I helped her load the car, and she was as meticulous about it as she was with everything else. It would take her about 3 hours to get to the recent hotel. I stood on the porch and watched her leave, but I didn't ask her about the pills. The rest of the morning, I stayed on the porch, feeling more worried than I ever had before. I felt small, insignificant, and out of my league. I was just a small-town guy with a mediocre job, and she was this successful, powerful woman. It felt like a mismatch, and I couldn't help but wonder if I should have noticed it earlier. I felt foolish. The best suit I owned was a blue blazer and a pair of pants. At least I had a few ties, even though they were at least a decade out of date. I had just finished getting dressed when the landline rang. Hey, sweetie, I just wanted to let you know I got here okay. The drive was fine. Traffic wasn't too heavy. I'll call you tonight. I'm in room 714. If you need to reach me, you can call me on my cell, or I'll be at my parents' or my brother's tonight. Okay, love you, I replied, hearing the click of the phone. I took my time heading to Philly, not going straight to the recent hotel. I stopped first to grab a steak and cheese, knowing it would be a long night. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I parked in the hotel garage and just sat there for a while, unsure of when I should go inside. Eventually, my cell phone rang, and it made the decision for me. Henry, everything's settled. I'm going downstairs to meet some people and have dinner. You didn't forget anything, did you? No, everything's fine. I've got everything in my room for tomorrow. Do you need anything? No. Henry, relax. I'm turning my phone off now. I'll call you tomorrow morning. All right. Chuckles, have fun. It's not fun, Henry. It's work, she said, and the line went silent. I didn't look too out of place in the hotel lobby. The restaurant and conference rooms were packed, so I could remain unnoticed. I picked up a little brochure showing the layout of the hotel rooms and wandered around, stopping to look at the crowd. I had no idea what I'd do if Anna saw me. I'd find out when the time came. I found an event board listing all the rooms being used by the various groups. Covington Group didn't have any rooms reserved for Wednesday night, which struck me as odd. Anna had said she wouldn't leave the hotel, but now I wasn't so sure. There were 3 dining rooms: family, casual, and fine dining. Anna wasn't one for dining with kids, so I went to the casual room first. It only took 5 minutes to confirm she wasn't there. I had better luck in the gourmet lounge. It was a cozy booth tucked in the corner, perfect for private meetings. Anna was wearing a black cocktail dress with a plunging neckline and pearls. She looked elegant, and her companions seemed to appreciate it. I recognized a few of the people Anna worked with, but this man wasn't one of them. He looked familiar, but I couldn't place him. The lounge wasn't crowded, and there were plenty of empty seats, so I had no trouble crossing the room. The candles on the tables were small, glass holders, and I blew out mine, telling the waiter it was bothering my glaucoma. I ordered my usual chicken dish and settled in. The waiter poured my coffee for the 3rd time. Excuse me, I said. The guy at the table across from me looks really familiar. Do you know who he is? Oh sure, that's Lewis Grant. He's a member of the town meeting and is expected to run for Congress in the next few years. Is that his wife with him? She's very pretty. No, this is the first time I've seen her. He always uses that table for special ladies, if you know what I mean. I smiled and asked for the check. I had never seen Anna so attentive with a man before. It was as though she was hanging on every word he said, like he was some kind of god. They weren't being inappropriate, but it definitely wasn't a platonic or business exchange. When I left, they were finishing their second bottle of wine. Now it all made sense why she brought that fancy lingerie with her. I made myself comfortable in a corner of the lobby where I couldn't be seen. 10 minutes later, they walked out of the restaurant, Anna holding his hand as they made their way across the lobby to the elevator. I watched the elevator's floor indicators carefully. When it stopped on the 3rd floor, I felt a flicker of relief. It meant she hadn't taken him to her room. But when it didn't go to the 7th floor, my stomach sank. It meant she had gone to his room. Just in case I was wrong, I stayed in the lobby and watched the elevator for an hour. People came and went, but Anna wasn't one of them. I retrieved my empty suitcase from the car and headed to the front desk. Even though I could prove I was her husband, it was surprisingly difficult to get a keycard. After a phone call to the room with no answer, they relented. Finally, I was on my way to room 714 with the keycard. I didn't turn on the lights when I entered. Instead, I sat in the dark room for over an hour, making sure she wouldn't return just yet. I packed all her clothes and personal belongings, leaving nothing behind. I checked the package of Previn. There were still 10 pills left. On the dresser, everything was neatly arranged for her presentation the next day. I began filling the suitcase with the 24 specially bound promotional folders and 20 regular folders. A digital projector went in next, followed by her laptop. I took Anna's purse and cell phone, which she had left behind in the room. All she had with her was a small clutch, probably with just a tube of lipstick inside. I carefully checked every corner of the room, making sure I hadn't missed anything. Once I was sure I had everything, I placed her car keys and my wedding ring on the dresser. Aside from those 2 items, the room was entirely empty. The elevator took me straight to the parking garage, and I had no trouble carrying both suitcases. 20 minutes later, I was on the expressway, heading north. It was well past 3 a.m., and I hadn't realized how much time had passed. A little later, my cell phone rang. The caller ID showed the Reason's number. Henry? Yes? I responded. Where are you? She asked. I'll be at the house soon, I said, and that was all. The line fell silent. Salesmen often say the first one to speak loses, and it felt like an eternity before she finally spoke again. I'm sorry, she said, without asking any questions, and then hung up. I turned my phone off. It was clear she had gone back to her room. Later that day, she was supposed to give a presentation that would save her company and possibly earn her a promotion. I stored the suitcases in the attic of the garage. Anna never went there, and she never would have thought to look for anything there. At this point, I wasn't sure it mattered anymore. I gathered all my clothes and personal belongings. Most men have their own tools, and it's usually a necessity for the job. I stopped by the store to load mine into the Subaru, then picked up my last paycheck. By the time the banks were open, I withdrew all the money from my accounts. I had enough to live on for a few years, but I knew I'd need to find a job soon. Anna and I were similar in that we both loved to work, and I knew I would miss her. I spent a few hours in the Luray Caves and rented a room near Whiteville. I had no clear plan for what came next. On Saturday, I ended up at the Chattanooga Aquarium, mesmerized by the wildlife I had never seen before. I spent several hours just relaxing, and it felt like a good place to be. I bought a year pass to the aquarium, and by dinner time, I had secured a place to stay, a mobile trailer in a park. It was furnished and affordable. I didn't need much. On Monday morning, I planned to start looking for work. A good handyman can always find a job, especially if he's willing to work hard. I could keep a low profile until it was time to renew my driver's license or car tags, and I'd deal with those when the time came. On Sunday afternoon, I called Elaine. I felt like I should let her know what was going on, but it turned out Anna had already told her. She was straightforward with Elaine about what happened. She told her she cheated. I found out, I left, and she lost her job. I felt bad that she lost her job, but that was the price she had to pay. I asked Elaine to update Josh the next time she spoke to him, and I also mentioned that I'd check in about once a month to see how things were going. I didn't tell her where I was. By noon the following day, I had a job. It was just a short walk from the trailer park to the Waffle House, right in the middle of the route. What more could a man want? I don't know how they handled the paperwork, but they were paying me $20 an hour with no questions asked. I was content, and they were happy. I didn't even need to dip into the money I'd brought with me. About 2 months later, Elaine told me that Anna had moved out and was now living with her parents. Elaine didn't have any more details but was happy to hear that I was settled and doing well. Josh called from San Diego to let me know he was going on a cruise. He worked as an avionics technician on an aircraft carrier. He tried explaining his job, but it went over my head. I never really understood much about technical stuff. Both Josh and Elaine were careful not to say anything negative about their mother, and I appreciated that. Life settled into a routine. I kept in touch with Elaine at least weekly, and Josh and I began emailing regularly. Elaine spoke to Anna, but she didn't share much about what Anna was doing or where she was. I never filed for divorce, and it seemed Anna hadn't either. I got a Tennessee driver's license, and the Subaru's tags were updated. I started going to a local bar a couple of times a month, and even got involved with 2 girls who took turns as regular companions. They weren't looking for commitment, and neither was I, so it worked out for all of us. Life was good. That was a long time ago, and eventually, I stopped thinking about Anna. After a while, the Subaru started having trouble. I'd forgotten how long it had been, but the mileage was over 200,000. One day, as I was sipping a mug of beer, I realized it had been almost 5 years since I left. I'd kept in close touch with both children. By this time, Elaine had 2 kids of her own and wanted me to visit. Josh almost married a woman once, but at the last minute, he called it off. I worked 6 days a week, using Sundays to recover from Saturday nights. There was no good reason for someone to be knocking on my trailer door at 6 a.m. on a Friday. Their rudeness was met with the sight of a half-naked man opening the door in his boxer shorts, which, judging by the look on her face, was just as unpleasant for the woman at the door. She looked away, but her companion didn't seem as bothered. "Norm, I would have worn pants, but guests like this annoy me," I muttered. "We're looking for Henry Clay," they said. I didn't recognize them. "I don't know you. My name's Andrew Walker, and this is my wife, Tessa. We have a problem, and we're hoping you can help us. I'm sorry, but I don't work by moonlight. If you need something done on your car, you'll have to go to the shop." That earned me a few blank stares before the response came. "It's not about your job, it's more of a personal issue. Can we come in?" The inside of the trailer was a mess. I rarely had guests, so I rarely cleaned. Even my girlfriends preferred their place. "Be my guest, let me put on my pants," I said. As I entered the bedroom, I left the door open to show I was a gracious host, then threw on a shirt. "Would you like some coffee? It'll only take about 10 minutes. I moved some things off the couch for them to sit on. There was no answer to the coffee question. "We have an adopted daughter, 4 years old, and she needs a bone marrow transplant. We're hoping you can help us. We're willing to pay you if needed." "Buy my bone marrow?" I asked, acting like a wise ass, but then I realized they were serious. These people had a real problem. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue. Our best chance of finding a donor is next of kin, and you're our best hope." I didn't mean to sound dismissive, but I couldn't help it. "I think you've got the wrong guy. When was your daughter born?" "She'll be 5 years old in July," Tessa Walker answered, speaking for the first time. Her voice was sincere. "I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I had a vasectomy 15 years ago. There's no way I could be her father. Why was your name on the birth certificate?" "I can't answer that. Maybe you should ask her mother." There was a long silence. I felt bad for these people, but I didn't know how to help them. "What's the mother's name?" "Anna Louise Clay." I froze. I couldn't find the words. Maybe I shouldn't have taken those damn pills from her all those years ago. If I hadn't, those people wouldn't have a daughter at all. I thought I had buried all this grief, but now it was creeping back. Old memories of my wife and that damn Philadelphia politician. Just when I thought I was done with all of it, it was back. "God damn it," I muttered under my breath. "I understand now, and I apologize for my rudeness and insensitivity. I'll do everything I can to help you. First, why can't Anna be a donor?" "Medically, she can't. She's too sick." "Too sick? What's wrong with her?" "She's dying of liver failure. The doctors won't even consider her for a transplant. She's got less than 6 months to live." "That doesn't make sense. She's always been in perfect health. I don't see why a diseased liver would stop her from donating bone marrow." "The hospital won't accept her signature on the consent form." "Are you saying there's something wrong with her head?" I asked. They both remained silent, knowing the answer but not wanting to say it. I didn't want to make them feel more awkward. Just minutes earlier, I hadn't cared about them, but now I felt like I had to help and protect them. "How did this happen?" I asked. "Could any of my kids help?" "Maybe, but we thought you were our best hope. Why don't you try going after your real father?" "We thought it was you. We have no idea who else it could be." Anna never mentioned another possible father. In fact, she was in no condition to explain anything, Tessa added. "We got most of our information from the adoption agency. I needed to get the coffee going and take a leak." "Excuse me for a moment," I said as I left them sitting there while I brewed the coffee. It only took a few minutes, and I quickly relieved myself, trying to be discreet. I had already embarrassed Tessa enough. "Where do you live?" I asked. "Westchester, Pennsylvania. I'll make you a deal. If I tell you who your daughter's real father is, You have to promise me you'll pursue him relentlessly until you get what you need. What are you talking about? Your daughter's father is a prominent politician in Pennsylvania. He will deny everything and probably use legal documents to stop your efforts. But if you push hard enough to get him to admit the child is his, you might be able to shame him into helping. He could get her the bone marrow transplant, right? Yeah, sure, but how do we do that? I don't know. I'm just a mechanic. I work with metal. But I think the best way is to use television, radio, and newspapers. Politicians will do anything to avoid bad press. Do you have any friends who could help? Both of them were smiling now, as if my suggestion gave them hope. I think we can do this. Who is he? I asked. Louis Grant. He's running for U.S. Senate. I bet he'll do anything to avoid bad publicity. The coffee was ready, but Andrew and Tessa couldn't wait to leave. Before they went, I gave them the contact details for Elaine and Josh, in case they needed their help. I also asked them where Anna was. I figured I'd be in Pensacola before they even got back to Westchester. I got a haircut and bought a new shirt. Anna may have ruined my life, but I still wanted to look good when I saw her. I found her trailer, which was a newer, nicer double-wide. Her Volvo sat outside with a flat tire and a broken windshield. The woman who answered the door wasn't Anna. She looked like she'd been through something rough, drenched, with no makeup, and maybe in her mid-40s or early 50s. She looked worn out. Before I could say anything, I heard a voice. Well, I never expected to see you here. It was Henry Clay. You're putting me at a disadvantage, I said. Diana Brown, she said, gesturing me inside. Come on in. Honey, can I get you a beer? No, thank you. I'm here to see Anna. Diana walked across the room, stopping at the buffet in the dining area. Here she is, Henry, she said, her hand pointing to a brass urn in the middle of the empty buffet. I didn't move. I just stood there, staring at the urn, realizing I was too late. Can I have a beer now? I asked. Anna had moved to Pensacola after giving up her baby for adoption. She bought the trailer with the money she received from Covington Group after being laid off. She had a profit-sharing 401k and vacation and sick leave benefits. Eventually, she took a job at a local garment factory in the shipping department, where she met Diana. Diana rented a room from Anna, and over time, Anna's drinking took over her life. She started with wine and gradually switched to stronger, cheaper alcohol. Eventually, she lost her job due to her addiction and began draining her savings. She never dated or went out. Diana stayed with Anna, covering her utilities and buying food that Anna wouldn't eat. It took over 3 years for Anna to drink herself to death. Amazingly, she left a will, leaving me the trailer and her Volvo. Diana explained that Anna had been devastated by what she had done. She never tried to prevent or terminate the pregnancy, and the adoption had been arranged months before the baby was born. Afterward, she stopped working, except for occasional odd jobs that she did poorly. According to Diana, Anna seemed to lose all ambition and purpose in life. She spoke about me often but was too afraid to contact me. Elaine had given her my number, but she never called. It was as if that one-night affair had hurt her more than it had hurt me. I stayed for 2 weeks, then sold Diana's trailer for $1 and got $3,000 for the Volvo. 2 days later, I was in Westchester, visiting my new friends, Andrew and Nadine. Louis Grant initially resisted, but Andrew and Nadine applied pressure until he gave in. He insisted on DNA tests, which confirmed he was the father. To save face, he was essentially forced into agreeing to a bone marrow transplant, which turned out to be successful. However, his political career and family life took a hit. His polls plummeted so quickly that his party replaced him with another candidate just months before the election. His wife filed for divorce and made it public. Now, Anna and I are traveling to Dallas to see Elaine and my grandchildren. I'm not sure how long I'll keep Anna with me, probably until I find someone else. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.